you see Tucker Carlson footage on this unseen footage before this stream?
I honestly have not been following the January 6th stuff that much, but it's this is new to me seeing Tucker coverage of it. Anyone know my position on it? Like January 6th was a giant. The way liberals portray it is a giant con job that is done in order to expand the surveillance state. And AOC, her job was to sell that. Oh my God, my life was in danger. Oh my God, these mobs that had a glorified tour. It was, if you guys see the video, that's why you had MSNBC, Morning Joe, and all these liberals. Oh my God, don't show the tapes. What are you afraid? What are you afraid of? They have these the entire event. They got like 1%. 1% of the tapes they release, and those are the ones we see the mobs like, oh, let's fuck shit up. Let's fuck shit up. That's 1%. The rest of it, we see it on Twitter. It's the rest of it just a group of white people like, oh my God, we at the Capitol. This is great. Man, where's Donald Trump at? Is anyone going to give a speech? They were just there as tourists, glorified tourists. Some of them that was upset, but most of them were just there because they was hanging out at a Republican event. So I have not seen Tucker video, but I am one of the few Americans that do not have a short memory. I remember during January 6th when Black Twitter was mocking the entire event. It was hella fun if you was on Twitter at that time. Because
I don't think I was on Twitter at that time.
We saw the police let these people in. We saw the people.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
We saw the police let these people in, and we saw how goofy the event was. Like these people with trucker Trump hats. These people that just having like a fun time, and then they just completely whitewashed and changed the event into a deadly attack. Like, have you guys seen what the United States done to Venezuela? Have you guys seen what the United States done to other countries? January 6th is a fucking joke, and they use January 6th in order to manufacture consent for increased police funding and surveillance powers, which the Capitol Police has now. And guess who was the people that was signing up to do that? AOC. Marianne Williamson. She loves her some January 6th.
Oh, she talks about you. That's one thing she does tweet about her last January 6th. Or did, at least I should say.
Not interested in talking about Ukraine, though, but she loves talking about how dangerous January 6th is. Why do you guys think that's their role? Their role is to do that so the Democrats can justify, oh, guys, we want to increase the power of the state in order to go after white supremacists and Republicans. And they'll see, oh my God, my life is in danger. Democracy is in danger. Bernie always says democracy is in danger. And then the Capitol Police and the police take that money and then they use it against the left, Black people, and workers. Every single time. And that's what happened when you had indigenous protesters that were protesting Line 3. The Capitol Police immediately went after them. But they be taking selfies at Trump rallies and Trump protests. But they think that they spend money on the police to go after white supremacists. It's clown shit. It's political fan fiction that the liberals completely made up. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, and we'll get to some more of how they cover indigenous, Black and brown, and police protests when we get to the Stop Cop City stuff that just happened a couple of days ago. So when we get to that part, but what's this? That's what you were just referencing.
Yeah, Patrick, I'll just read this real quick now, Patrick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you seen what the United States has done to Venezuela? Good point. I also say, have you seen what the United States has done to the United States? It's so transparently evil. That's a great point. And that's why whenever people say, oh my God, there's a Uyghur genocide, I'm like, have you seen what the United States done to Black Americans and how the police literally label Black activists that were protesting against Cop City? They labeled them domestic terrorists. Yeah. So you guys know how police was working with Israeli soldiers and they were just changing tactics? The same way that Israeli soldiers treat Palestinians, using rubber bullets, labeling them as terrorists, smearing them as violent thugs. That is what the United States literally do to Black Americans here. It's literally a new apartheid where the cops just straight up squash dissent the same way Israelis do to Palestinians. And you have tear gas that is used against us, which is a war crime. You have civil asset forfeiture, massive theft of possessions, similar to what happened to the Palestinians. You have activists that constantly get their stuff stolen for protesting against the police when they get arrested, right? It's nonstop, and that's why that's such a great comment. But go ahead, CJ. Because look at what they do to us.
Yeah, so to your point, part of the story also, so Tucker Carlson released the footage, But Nick, if just look at any corporate media from CNN to MSNBC, every single show, they're talking about this. You see what Tucker Carlson's doing? He's just making up lies. He's trying to make it seem like they're all in cleanup mode right now. But we'll just use one video to kind of illustrate the point, and that's this video, MSNBC. Now, remember, this is the same anchor who, when at, I think it was the Iowa caucus, and Bernie was winning or something, and she was in the room, and she was like, when she got to Bernie's crowd, she was like, Elizabeth Warren, blah, 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 so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, and it looks like Bernie Sanders has the most. That's the reporter. This is her. Let's listen. Yeah. MSNBC. This says, now the title says this. Now catch this title. GOP senators and Capitol Police both critical of Tucker Carlson's January 6th report. Meaning it's not just the Democrats.
Warnings from Capitol Police today concerned that Tucker Carlson's airing of a selectively edited video of January 6th will spawn
like the one they had.
Like what you guys was doing. What you guys was doing. So ridiculous.
Dangerous conspiracy theories and potentially fuel more violence. In a letter.
They're so ridiculous.
And understand, people, we all have revolutionary education to understand that the term and the phrase conspiracy theory is a blanket term to tell the general public don't believe in whatever they're saying. That's just what that means. It doesn't mean it's false. They caught a bunch of COVID stuff that they're now admitting to conspiracy theories. It just means, from the ruling class, it just means don't believe this stuff. That's all that means.
Letter just obtained by NBC News, the Capitol Police chief went even further, blasting the segment as being, quote, filled with offensive and misleading conclusions about the January 6th attack. Carlson's version of the insurrection is that it was nothing more than, as he put it, peaceful chaos. Just
ask yourself, what news organizations do this? Now, podcasters do this. Somebody says something, we'll go on there and say, yeah, somebody so-and-so said that. But who does this so, like, intently? Like, it's a fear. It's like you said something out in the open that nobody can hear. If you feel secure in the evidence you've laid out for your term, you should be going, nigga, please. Have you seen the evidence?
Right.
Have you seen the broken gun? That's what you should be doing, not this sort of panic. And I'm telling you, Nick, there's a panic from CDS to MSNBC, NBC News, all of them. I have them, but I'm not going to play them all. I'll just play this one because of who they bring on. They bring on an analyst, and let's see who they bring on right here.
To support that, he showed this video, protesters mostly milling around the Capitol, describing it as proof it was neither an insurrection nor deadly. But it was pulled from 44,000 hours of security camera video, and we don't know how it was edited, and frankly, neither do security officials. Although Carlson claimed they'd run...
Right. That's just a term. Like, it could be true. Like, they don't know because nobody knows. Like, you're just making a statement. The FBI doesn't know. RBN doesn't know. Like, nobody knows the answer. But this is a propaganda tactic. You tie your opinion to an expert, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to bring in a so-called legal expert in a second. But that's a propaganda tactic.
Run all the video by the Capitol Police. A source tells NBC News they only saw one clip. Carlson, meanwhile, downplayed images like this, describing it as the work of a small number of hooligans and calling majority of protesters meek and orderly. The violence that left 140 officers injured contributed to the deaths of several others.
I didn't know 140 officers were injured. That's the first. I think that's the first time I'm hearing that.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, they were doing their job. Oh no,
hiding and running for their lives was barely mentioned. I want to bring in NBC's Ali Vitale on Capitol Hill, and Frank Figliuzzi is back with me. Ali, I understand
this guy.
Tons of reaction is coming in. What are you hearing?
Yeah, Chris, the reaction is coming in, but it depends which Republican you're asking, and frankly, which side of Congress you're asking those questions on. Because in my conversations with House Republicans in recent days, they've been eager for this footage to come out. In fact, part of the reason why
Nick, so get this. Remember how the squad said, oh, force the vote, didn't get anything. You know how this footage come out? This was one of the things Kevin, the speaker, I forget his name, Kevin McCarthy, had to agree to release. This is one of the other asks they had. I found that out in another footage that I was looking at. Just amazing.
Carlson has it is because people on the rightmost flank of the Republican Party in the House pressured Speaker Kevin McCarthy during the speakership race to release this footage in the first place. So that's on the House side of this, the way that most Republicans are receiving this footage. On the Senate side, though, much more quick to criticize, and it sounds a little bit like this. Listen.
I think that breaking through glass windows and doors to get into the United States Capitol against the orders of police is a crime to somehow.
We have to understand who the Senate is, and you notice when it comes, this is a propaganda tactic too. That's why I wanted to stop it. When it comes to what she doesn't really, the narrative she doesn't want you to go with, she'll just tell you what they said, like what they do with Vladimir Putin. But when they get it, so that's all of House Republicans is like, no, we wanted this release. They go to the Senate. Remember, the Senate was designed for the plantation owners. These are the richest of the richest people.
Yep.
They're going with the January 6th, like Mitch McConnell. They rolling with that too. So you go to the slave owners group, which is the Senate, and you say, what do you think? And you put them on video, because no matter how much you say what somebody else said, if you have a person's face and you see them saying the words, it's way more memorable. So they want you to retain this and forget all the mumbo jumbo she said about all the Republicans in the House who are for the release of this footage. I think we'll play a little bit here, a little bit more.
Put that in the same category as a permitted peaceful protest is just a lie.
I think it's bull. I was down there and I saw maybe a few tourists, a few people who got caught up in things. But when you see police barricades breached, when you see police officers assaulted, all of that, or you had to be in close proximity to it. If you were just a tourist, you should have probably lined up at the visitor center and came in on an orderly basis.
And then, of course, there's the reaction, Chris, that we're getting not just from elected lawmakers, but from Capitol Police and rank and file here themselves. We've seen on Twitter in recent days and recent hours, officers who were injured on January 6th showing what happened to them after that day. And then, of course, a letter from Tom Manger, the head of the Capitol Police, to his officers at one point saying the program last night conveniently cherry-picked from the calmer moments of our 41,000 hours of video.
So I'm going to stop the video here and end the introduction, but there's no need to prolong the point because you see it in the segment, Nick. What is the need for you? You know how many times Tucker Carlson goes on the news, goes on his program and says a bunch of lies? Why is the freak out for this? It's because they're losing their narrative control. They're losing narrative control, and it has to do with Trump. Go ahead. It feels like.
And also, you have to remember another reason for this is the general election about to start. Remember for the midterms, that's when they really ramped up the theater. They had a January commission that was live on TV. Then after the midterms, just kind of like stop. They're like, oh, whatever. We're not to promote that much no more. It goes in waves because they have to plan it. They can't go too hard all the time. They'll lose momentum. So they're like, all right, let's plan it for these big events. So CPAC just happened. There's a lot of talk about the general election now. So they're gonna continue. They're gonna try to continue to run on January 6th, and it's gonna work awful for them. I saw a segment on MSNBC. I saw it on Morning Joe that I may prepare for later this week, where there was like they were talking about Trump when he was talking about Ukraine, and Trump being ridiculous as he is, he was making crazy statements like, I want peace in Ukraine. I can make it happen in one day. Like, it's ridiculous statements that we know that he's not going to do, but it's still like good. it's good that he's saying, I want peace. I'm an advocate for peace. And they're like, oh my God. And they had Jen Psaki on there. They're like, oh my God, Trump is
I saw that.
and that is a sign that that's going to be their campaign strategy heading to the general election, is to paint Donald Trump as being some sort of Russian sympathizer. They're going to escalate January 6th again. That's going to be their strategy as they continue to fund Ukraine, as Trump showed to East Palestine. It just shows how our electoral politics game is an absolute fucking joke. Absolute joke.